Hello, welcome to the Jack and Joe show, coming to you a little later this week. Joe Sansom alongside me. What a result on Monday.
We needed a little bit more time to calm down after the celebrations. No, it was really fun, Jack. It was good to see you before the game and post-game, of course. Really, really fun night. Before we get into the video, just a word for our sponsors, and obviously Fulhamish for the entire season are sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. It goes without saying at this point that get down to a Green King pub and watch the action with all your friends. It's unfortunate that this weekend's game is not on the televised fixtures. It's obviously due to Liverpool playing in the Europa League on Thursday night, 2 p.m. game, but there's still loads of games that you could sink your teeth into. And we're once again very grateful for Green King Sport for supporting Fulhamish and in particular the Jack and Joe show for this season.
Yeah, and they've recently launched the Instagram page. Fans want to enter the competitions for deals and give them a follow, and you'll be helping out Fulhamish by doing that as well. No early kickoff this weekend in the Premier League. 5:30, Nottingham Forest against Everton. You would imagine that's on Sky. You'd imagine if Everton lose that, they'll be in even more trouble than they are at the moment. And the late game, TNT Sports, Newcastle hosting Manchester United. That'll be a great game.
Big one, yeah.
And yeah, absolutely fantastic. On Sunday, yes, we play Liverpool, but it's not on telly. The televised game is West Ham United against Crystal Palace. A good London derby there. And the big one late on, Manchester City hosting Spurs. 3 defeats in a row now for Spurs. Can they respond against the champions? And of course, we have midweek action as well. Midweek action on Amazon Prime. We will have to preview that sometime. Nottingham Forest. Anyway, apologies for any internet issues. I don't know what's going on with my internet recently, but it's one of them ones. Joe, where do we start? I mean, we spoke in the pub beforehand about our score predictions, and I think you said 2-1, and I said 0-0 or 1-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was 3-2. Fulham scored three times, 2 from the penalty spot. And wasn't it refreshing to have someone like Willian from the penalty spot? Oh, another goal for Liverpool. So wasn't it refreshing to have someone like Willian from the penalty spot putting those away?
Yeah, Jack's already on a opposition watch for Sunday's game, which is obviously crucial. Yeah, and it makes me wonder, not to think back to last season, Jack, but what would have happened if we gave all our penalties last season to Willian? I feel like we might be talking about a few more famous victories. The one at Old Trafford is the one that's sticking out to me when we could have gone 2-0 up. But anyway, I think that Monday's game was a thriller. And I don't mean that in the sense of it wasn't the best game you'll ever see in terms of jam-packed action. There was a lot going on. The quality was not great, I didn't think, from either side. But I thought that it was a thriller in terms of the stakes. I think both teams realised that this is a big game. A win takes us 10 points clear of the relegation zone, as it did. A win for Wolves, and suddenly they're looking towards the top 6. It's incredible. It's all about just getting out of that danger zone. And I think both teams knew that it was up for the taking. So that's why both are really going at it. Obviously, it's been overshadowed by the refereeing decisions and the reaction to that. And it's understandable because every game these days seems to be overshadowed by VAR. I think that by this point, we're speaking on Thursday. It's been done to death by now. I don't really want to speak about the decisions. It happened. We are probably going to have some that go against us, as maybe we had some that went in favour of us this weekend. We've had some go against us already this season. I don't want to dwell on that. What I want to dwell on is the fact that we played the best going forward that we have in a long time. The first goal was a lovely move, great cross by Robinson, lovely movement from Iwobi. We had about a 5-minute spell where we were really putting it on Wolves and could have scored the second goal, which would have made it a completely different game with the way it would have had to open up. I think that then we let them back into the game, which was really disappointing. And, they scored a fantastic equaliser in terms of the skill from Bellegarde on the right-hand side, made Robinson look very silly, which for all the stick he gets, not many people do. from a defensive standpoint. That was very well played by him, but the marking in the box was atrocious. And then I was just happy to get in at halftime 1-1, to be honest, because I thought that we really started to let our foot off the gas, and it was looking like Wolves, if anyone, were going to score next. Second half was way better. I was saying to my dad and the people around us at halftime that I thought Kearney and Harrison Reed were both off the pace. First half, I wasn't impressed with either of them. Second half, it couldn't have been more different, and that's how the game turned. We really took hold of midfield. And obviously, we won the penalties, but we won the penalties by being more involved in the box, by creating promising chances, which is something that we haven't said much this season. We haven't created much. We could have scored more on Monday night, and it was just great to score 3 and 2 from the penalty spot. I mean, it doesn't happen often. I wasn't too nervous when Willian stepped up for the first one. I was extremely nervous when he stepped up for the second one. I don't particularly like a player taking them twice. Not that we see it that often. But I mean, and I was actually thinking, when was the last time we saw that? And I was thinking, was it potentially McCormack versus Middlesbrough when we won 4-3? And that was a time.
No, it wasn't.
Go on.
It was a 2-1 defeat to QPR in which we missed both penalties.
Yes, but was it the same taker? Is what I mean. Because
excuse me.
Because I get terrified if it's the same taker. Because I'm thinking, is he going to go the same way? Is the keeper going to go the same way? Even though it's exactly the same chance if a new player took it. Jack, I've completely taken over here, but to summarise, it was an absolutely massive win. I thought the performance was fine. I thought it was acceptable. Defensively, too shaky for my liking. And my main takeaway from this game, and there was a comment last time that made me laugh, which was death taxes and me dropping Ream from the squad, which is very, very fair because I always do it.
Very funny.
I think this game showed why I want to do it, because I thought he was the weak link and he nearly cost us 3 points with that quite brain-dead decision to shove Hwang over in the box for no apparent reason when he's going away from goal. He also nearly gave Hwang a goal in the first half when he got out of Bassey's way and let him through on goal. So I was impressed by Bassey. I was impressed by Castagnier. I was impressed by Robinson going forward. And so I would like to see Tosin come back in. That's a spoiler alert for my team selection for Liverpool. On the right-hand side, he came off the bench. Jack, looking ahead to that Liverpool game, I mean, what's going to change from my lineup against Wolves? What do you want to change? Because it wasn't perfect. It was a massive win, but it wasn't perfect.
No, I think there's opportunity to change it up a bit. Of course, we won with Paulinho, huge. Oh, I tell you what, we're playing Liverpool on Sunday, and every time they come forward, they look very, very good. 2 against Lask. Mo Salah is just absolutely frightening. He's just, those nights where Salah just gets the ball, and every time he does it, he's running a goal. He just looks like he's going to break into the box and score. There are lots of angles to this game against Liverpool. No Alisson, Jota. That doesn't necessarily make things easier, but remember the time we went up to Anfield in lockdown and won? Extremely. It was an incredibly weakened team. I think they had Mo Salah playing. They might have had Gini Wijnaldum playing, but apart from that, there weren't many, first teamers. It was that season where they'd lost all those players to injury, and obviously we came with the victory. In terms of a lineup, I might as well just go straight into it. Leno in goal. At the back, we will have Robinson, Tosin, Bassey, and Castagna. I think Castagna's earned a place in his starting 11, even if Tete's ready to play. Paulinho, Kearney starts for me again. Absolutely brilliant. Iwobi in the 10. And then starting for Fulham would be Willian, Wilson, Raul Jimenez.
Okay.
I think Vinicius has got to be very careful. Stop doing what you're doing. I've already talked about it.
I'm getting sick of it. Christ. Like it's not funny. He should have been sent off 3 times now, and at some point it's going to cost us. I mean, the game was in the balance at that stage. It was 2-2. If he'd have been sent off and then we had 7 minutes of added time with 10 men, it's not the question that Wolves could have nicked it through a moment of pure unneeded stupidity. We already had the foul. It's really getting on my nerves.
Did you see it in real time? Because I didn't even know it had happened.
Well, where I sit in like H7, which is sort of, as you're looking at the pitch on the right-hand side of the Hammersmith end, it was sort of in line with me. It didn't necessarily look deliberate. It looked like as he got up, he sort of bashed heads, and I was like, oh. But then when I saw them having a look at it, I was panicking a bit because I was thinking, if they've seen what I've just seen and it wasn't an accident, he's gone. So I was shocked that they let him stay on the pitch. And I think we're lucky that Kilman was quite an honest player. And I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, he should have gone down. I don't like that. I've got to say, I know it's how the game is, but I don't like that. In terms of my team, Jack, I mean, I'm thinking very, very similar to you. Castagne, I'd said that I'd have brought Tete back in for the Wolves game, and I still love Tete, like one of my favourite Fulham players for sure. I don't think I've ever hidden that, but Castagne, I think, has definitely earned his place. He was great defensively on the weekend, in my opinion, on Monday night. I think that I would, as you say, Tosin and Bassi is what I would like to see. And then Robinson, I would stick with him at left back. I know that he got made to look a little bit silly, but for the rest of the game, I thought he was good, and I thought he looked good going forward as well. I would stick with him. Polinia coming back in, I agree, and I definitely think that Kearney as well should keep his place. Iwobi, yes. The problem that we've got is that I think there needs to be a place in this team for Harrison Reed, considering the opposition we're going up against. For that reason, someone that's from an attacking perspective has got to be dropped. I think Pereira is one of them for Polinia coming back in. But it wouldn't surprise me if Iwobi didn't start at Kearney's expense or vice versa. I think it's one or the other. So in fact, I think I'd probably go with Polinia, Reed, and Iwobi, and then bring Kearney on when there's a little bit more space in the game, because I don't want to tire him out, especially ahead of that Wednesday game, Jack, when we'd hopefully have him involved as well. Willian on the left, as you say, Wilson on the right, who I thought had a very good cameo. And then, Jimenez up top, unless Muniz is back. If Muniz is back at the moment, I'd start him because he just causes chaos. But I think that Jimenez would be the starter. In terms of a score prediction, Jack, I think this is a massively tough game. We've been handed a couple of advantages, like you suggest. Another advantage for us is that we've got Polinia back. I think there's two score predictions here. I'm going to give one with my heart and give one with my head. My heart says that we're going to come out and we're going to put in a great performance and come away with a point that would be very hard earned. My head says they will have too much for us. And I think that we'll probably lose by a couple of goals. I don't think we'll get battered. I think I could see like a 2-0 or 3-1 loss. That sort of vibe, which is not the end of the world as long as we follow up the Wolves result with positive results against Forest and West Ham. This is not a free hit. This is a big game, but those games are bigger, 100%.
Yes. I have a few questions I want to ask you before we go in terms of how you're feeling now at the table. But essentially, I think that our performance at Anfield last season was really good. And if it were a very dodgy penalty decision, which of course obviously happened on Monday night, we would have got maybe a good point there. Bobby Reed, I think, came close at the end as well. I seem to remember. Got home about 4 a.m. that day. It was terrible. 5 a.m. or something like that. It was ridiculous. But I'm going to say we are going to draw 0-0.
Okay, well, I quite like that.
See them out. I think that are the footballing gods going to be on our side? Probably not. We'll probably deserve it. We'll probably deserve a decision to go against us, given what happened on Monday. But then again, was what happened on Monday making up for something else? Or the Issa Diop penalty giveaway at Anfield, could the fortunes be changed in that favour for us?
I'll tell you this right now, Jack. Regardless of whatever happened on Monday or any other decision, we are owed a favourable decision against Liverpool 100%.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%. I mean, that Diop one was pathetic last year. I mean, like you said, we played well that game. Not much between the two teams, had chances to equalise. Obviously, you were there. Must have been very frustrating, the chances that Fulham had at the end of the game. I remember Bobby Reed blazed over with, I think, the last kick of the game, which could have easily equalised. We've not got an awful record against Liverpool in recent times. We shouldn't forget that. Robinson's played well against Salah last few times, and hopefully he can repeat that from a defensive standpoint. As you say, Jack, when he's on his game, he's hard to stop. But I mean, we need to give it a good try, because if you stop Salah, as Everton showed for the first, 80 minutes when they went to Anfield, you've got a good chance of stopping Liverpool. They were reduced to shots from distance, and they were very frustrated until Michael Keane gave away that penalty.
There is a point to be that, good teams like Aston Villa and Brentford have gone to Anfield this season, been absolutely washed away by 3-0 on both occasions. Liverpool have only lost one league game this season. That was to, a Spurs team where they had 9 men. The most amazing VAR decisions were being made that day. And they drew to Brighton, of course, away from home. But apart from that, they've been good. And actually, they've gone pretty much under the radar as actually, title contenders. Joe, a few things before we go. Just a couple of questions. First of all, Wolves fans, I've never seen a more salty bunch of fans after a game of football in as far as I can remember. I can understand the frustration, but at the end of the day, when you're still clipping up, interviews from Tom Kenny after the game or on Sky Sport after the game, it's not like you're in a relegation battle. I think us and Wolves will be absolutely fine, and that's my next question, Joe. Win on Monday meant we'd go 10 above the relegation zone. Now it seems like we're in a situation where we can just relax a little bit. I'm not saying we're there, but a lot of people are saying we're halfway there. A lot of people are saying that 30 points would be enough to get you survival this season. And we're on 15 already. Wouldn't it be nice if we just went to Bamford and won and got onto 18 points, or at least got that against Nottingham Forest or West Ham? It does feel as though, 3 more wins in the next 4 to 5 games, we won't be in any sort of trouble come Christmas. It's if we drop the points against Liverpool and Nottingham Forest and West Ham, and maybe those Lutons and Sheffield Uniteds, Evertons and Bournemouths and Burnleys are picking points as well. What are you thinking now at the table?
I think I was slightly calmer than you this time last week, regardless. And I think that I'd have been proved well and truly wrong if we'd have lost, for example, against Wolves. But I think now we've got that win, and you see that gap, a 10-point gap at this stage of the season is massive. A team such as Sheffield United, for example, would need to win 3 games to even get close to us, assuming we didn't pick up any points. It's a massive, massive ask. And you would hope that that gap will grow throughout the next few weeks when we have these favourable home fixtures. For example, let's say we won 2 out of the 3 massive home games coming up. We'll be in a fantastic position come Christmas, regardless of the number of position that we're on in terms of 10th, 12th, 16th, 17th. That gap to the bottom 3 is all that matters until January, where we can hopefully get even stronger. I think what we saw on Monday night is that both teams are way too good to go down, in my opinion. That's what I took from that game. I thought it was a poor quality game, but I saw so much more from Wolves, and I'm sure Wolves saw so much more from us than we did when we played Sheffield United, for example. I think Luton definitely have the best chance out of the 3 promoted teams to stay up at this point. I mean, they gave us the hardest game out of those that we faced so far. Everton obviously have had a deduction. They're a much better side than their position actually shows. What I would say, Jack, is I'm breathing quite easily at the moment about Fulham. I mean, I was getting a little bit tetchy last week in terms of it's closer than I would want it to be. In terms of I don't want to be involved in those conversations. I think we've done enough at this stage of the season to be out of them for the time being, at least. And unless something goes disastrously wrong over the next few weeks, I think that we'll stay out of those conversations until the January window, at least, because we have too big a margin below us currently to be dragged in before the new year.
In terms of the Jack and Joe show going forward, I would imagine if we beat Liverpool, we might have to do something a bit special and then preview Forest.
I think so.
We'll just see what happens, and then I suppose you'll definitely see us after Forest. But it's quite hard to preview that game right now because we're still got another game to go, and Forest have still got to play. Joe, we're only 1 point behind Chelsea, and they've got Brighton at the weekend, and then Manchester United in the week. this time next week, if someone said you're above Chelsea in the table, I'd say I am not surprised by that whatsoever. And I think we'll leave it there, Joe. We've got things to do and people to see and Chineses to eat as well. Amazing stuff for Jansen.
Fantastic.
Joe, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Jack. It was a pleasure. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you're going to Anfield on Sunday, enjoy it. If you're not, enjoy it as well. And hopefully see you at the Cottage on Wednesday night for a big one.
Apologies for any internet issues. I'm going to try and get this sorted for next week. I don't know what's going on, but if you stuck with us, and we greatly appreciate it. Come on, Fulham, away at Anfield. Come on, Fulham, away at Anfield. Come on, Fulham.